Hello, Nala. How to share your screen? Well, you can't do that unless you're on a computer, which I am. So if you're using your phone to do your live streams, then you cannot do it. As far as I know. I don't know. I don't think I've done a live stream on my phone in a few years. So maybe they've changed it. Maybe you can share your screen somehow on your phone, but I don't know how. But I think you can't. So I use my computer to do my streams, and you can do that also. You need a camera and a microphone, but if you have a camera and a microphone, then you can do that. All you need to do is start your live stream, use your phone to make the link for your live stream, then send the link to your computer somehow. I use Telegram. You could use any app or email, and send it to your computer so you can open it on your computer in Chrome, or I think it has to be in Chrome, in a Chrome browser, and then it will allow you to use a QR code to scan it and open it in your computer. And then once you're in your computer, there is a set of menu choices to share, where there's one menu choice to share your screen. You're welcome, Nala. Hello, Ahura, and I'm so sorry I still have not returned your message, Ahura. Things have been a little crazy recently, Ahura, and music is not really on my radar right this minute because I have too many other things I'm trying to juggle. So please be patient and don't take it personally. I would like to make some music, but I have so many projects going on right now that I just can't even imagine another one. So just be patient for a bit if you wouldn't mind. My main focus right now is on my new website and trying to get that finished. So, but if you can be patient, then perhaps we can do something in the future. And hello to Vishak over in my YouTube. All right, so if you're in my audience now, then your job is to ask me questions and find out how stupid I am. That's fun, isn't it? Can I use awkward in a sentence, please? Well, the word awkward is kind of funny because sometimes the word awkward is a sentence. You know, let's say, for example, you're talking to your friend. You're a kid and you're talking to your friend in school about the school bully, right? And how the school bully is always picking on you, but one of these days you're going to punch that bully in the face and make him cry like a girl. And but then the bully walks up behind you right when you are saying that. And then your friend will look at you and say, awkward. And that means that now there's a tension in the room, like, this feels uncomfortable, right? So in this case, the awkwardness is the uncomfortability of the situation, right? So anytime you're in a situation that's very uncomfortable, somebody could just say, awkward. It's kind of a weird thing to say, but it does happen, and you'll see it in TV and movies occasionally. But the word awkward is kind of funny because it's related to the word forward and the word backward. So there are a bunch of words. WARD. Let me check. Hold on a minute. Awkward. Awk. The word AWK actually means turned in the wrong direction. Awk means turned in the wrong direction, or turned the wrong way. And then ward means in the direction of. So in this case, to be awkward is to be clumsy or not graceful in movement is the original meaning, right? So awkward movements, for example, right? If you are not a very coordinated person when you do things and you always bump into things, then you move awkwardly and you are kind of an awkward person. Or perhaps your personality could be a little bit different, like me. And that would make you a slightly awkward person, maybe because you act differently than other people do in some ways. If you act differently, then awkward can sometimes be almost a sense of weirdness. So, awkward is related to forward and to backward. And to afterward, and to downward, and eastward, and homeward, inward, leeward, onward, outward. There's lots of ward words, W-A-R-D, southward, northward, eastward, westward, sternward, toward. The word toward, T-O-W-A-R-D, is also related to forward, backward, toward. Yeah, so it's kind of funny. And yes, that's interesting. Wait, is it the same root? It might be from the same root as reward also. No. Oh, wait. Yeah, it is. So it is related, but very loosely related to the word reward. Okay, let's see. What's my YouTube channel name? It's right here. And hello, Sarah. Hello, Basam. Hello, Language Warrior. Thank you. And yeah, again, like that's one of the interesting things to look at is all the words that have the same root, right? So awkward, backward, downward, those are all related in that way. What is the difference between quit, quite, and quiet? Quit, quit, short I. Quite, quite. I, long I. Quiet, quiet. That's a long I and a short E. It says reward is rewander. Well, this says reward has the same root. So the reward has a noun version and a verb version, and the verb version is related. The verb version, the ward part of the word comes from the word varder, meaning to look or heed, which is from the word varden, to guard, which comes from the root wer, meaning to watch out for. And there, yeah, the WER has, oh, look at that. How interesting. Oh, wow. Well, that makes things a little bit more complicated. So there are 4 different roots that have WER that have 4 separate meanings. So it gets a bit complicated. So no, they are actually not related, but they are the same WER root. So there are originally in Proto-Indo-European language, which is a very old language, a long time ago. It's like a base language. In that language, there were 4 different kinds of roots for WER. That's what makes it complicated. Okay, let's see. Next. You've got this. Is that a correct expression? I don't understand what tense it is. In this case, it means it is a current event, so it's present tense, but they're saying that you have control of the moment. You can do it. You have control of what you know and what you can do, so you can do it. So you've got this. Don't worry about it. You can do this. You've got this, right? You can do it. That's all it means. It means, what are you worried about? You can do this. Okay, you got this. All right? Remember, Andy, sometimes we say, oh, I get it now, or I've got it now, meaning I understand, right? So to get something means that you've learned it, right? Or that you know it and now you can do it, right? So you've got this means you know it and you can do it, okay? All right, next. Hello, Marco. May you ask something about answers? People sometimes ask, can you speak English? And my natural answer is, yes, I do speak English. Is do okay? Yeah, you can. You can say do, but the proper response, they asked you a can question, so the response should be can, right? Can or cannot, right? That's usually how questions work in English, is whatever the question word they asked you, that's usually the word that you respond with, right? Can you do this? Yes, I can. Will you do this? Yes, I will, right? Now, is it a big problem if someone says, can you speak English? And you say, yes, I do? No, they'll understand you. But it's not correct only because they said, can you, not do you. But they could say, do you speak English? And then you could say, yes, I do. Okay? Because it's matching. Got it? All right. 22X says, I have a problem on how to use new or difficult words in a sentence. So that's because you're learning words without any sense of context. So that's what you can do from now on. Try to either learn words with context in mind. So start with the context and then find the vocabulary. Or do it the way you've been doing, which is learning the vocabulary, but then you have to put context to each word, right? So there are two ways you could do this. One way is to learn a vocabulary word and then to look at it and say, okay, well, what context could I use this one word in, right? But that means for every word, you have to find the context for that single word. That's not very efficient. However, you could look at the context first and say, here is a context, and then find all the vocabulary about that context. Now you already have a context in mind for all the words that you're learning. For example, when you go to school, if they teach you a language, they always start with school words, right? Because that's a context. So they teach you about book and pencil and eraser and pencil case, right? All of those words. Why? Because that's a context. So with the context in mind, it's easy to know how to use those words. So all you need to do is start with the context first, and then find the vocabulary, instead of starting with the vocabulary and trying to find the context. Okay? All right, let's see. Next. You're welcome, Andy. Okay, and guys, please, please, please write your questions only one time, okay? And then be patient and wait, all right? Because for me to teach, you must ask your question and wait while I answer other questions, okay? If you write your question a bunch of times, then you just clog up the chat and it makes it harder for everybody. So just write your question once and that's all you need. All right. I promise I try to answer every question that's a real question. If you ask me a real question, then I will try to answer it. Okay. Hello, Mona. Hello, Jayano. Hello, Fiore. Totem comes from the Native American languages. The bald eagle is an American totem, long represented. Oh, right. Right. The dragon represents China. The rooster is France's totem. Are there other Western totems? Sure. Yeah. We don't really call them totems that way, though. The word totem is almost entirely used mostly in the context of Native Americans in Northern and Southern America, just or Central America too, for that matter, just Native Americans. So the point being, for example, the way that we learn about the totem is from the totem pole. Do you know what a totem pole is, Susu? So the Native Americans would make these wooden poles. They would take a tree and carve a tree with the different totems on it. So it would have a bear head, and then on top of the bear head would be an eagle or, whatever. So it would have a bunch. Let me show you. Like this one. Wait a minute, let me find a good picture for you. Their pictures are not loading. Let's try it this way. This is a totem pole. So if you can see, there's one figure here and another figure here. It looks like, I don't know, like a man and maybe an owl here, or an eagle maybe, right? So this is called a totem pole. And it had many, sometimes they have many totems on them. Let's see here, hold on. Like these, you see? These are all totem poles. Okay, so when we hear the word totem, you're not wrong that the word totem can be used the way that you're using it. But when we use the word totem, at least in America, this is usually what we're thinking of, is these. Yeah. Okay, let's see. Next question. When can I use sincerely I appreciate your effort instead of thank you? Well, anytime someone did anything that required effort. If someone did something for you, some kind of a favor where they had to do something, right? They had to do something to help you. That requires effort. Effort means work, right? So you have to try. So you're saying, I appreciate that you tried. I appreciate that you did some work for me, right? So that's when you would say that, anytime that someone did some work for you. But thank you is much, much more general, right? If I give you a piece of candy, you can say thank you. But if I give you a piece of candy, you don't say, I sincerely appreciate your effort. Okay? If I made the candy, maybe you could say that, right? If I gave you a gift of candy, now you could say, thank you. I really appreciate your effort. Both are appropriate. Okay. And yes, totem poles are carved out of wood. That's right. Giant trees or logs that they cut down. Let's see. Do I think it's possible to reach a native-like level in a foreign language? And if so, how long does it usually take? So this question has a flaw in the logic. You said, can you reach a native-like level in a foreign language? Don't you think it's possible that I might be able to find a native in this country whose English is worse than yours right now? They would be a native speaker of English, but their English is actually worse than yours. Don't you think it's possible? So when you say, can I be like a native, it assumes that every native speaks brilliantly when they don't, right? So don't talk about wanting to speak like a native. Talk about wanting to speak well. That's all you have to worry about. Okay? So, and it's also good to remember that you might actually speak English better than some natives right now, because there are plenty of people who don't care about language, right? You know that, right? Lots and lots of people, they graduate from school and never think about language ever again, and their language is really poor. Maybe they didn't even finish school. Right? So, it's the wrong question to say, can I be like a native? Can I speak like a native? The question that you should ask is, can I speak well? And yes, you can, but it takes time. All right? If you want to be a native speaker in any language, you've got to live in that culture to feel like them. It helps, but I don't agree. If in a perfect world, yes, everyone who learns that language would go live wherever that language exists for at least a year to understand that culture, right? That would be wonderful. But no, we can't all do that. But I don't think that means that you have to live there in order to understand the language. You can learn the language without ever living there. May says, but the majority of natives speak very well. Why do you think that's true? Why do you believe that? Because I can prove that's not true right now. I can prove that within 5 seconds. All you have to do is go on YouTube, and in 1 minute on YouTube, you can find how many people who speak really poorly. Lots. On TikTok, how many people can you find who speak poorly? Tons. Right? The reason why is because most people just don't care about language. Okay? So, no. Wait, let me check this one more time. Let me just check this. Well, I can't find a statistic I'm looking for right now, but there was one that I wanted to show you. But, no, the majority of natives do not speak very well. As a matter of fact, May, 40% of native speakers of English are afraid to speak in public, because that is not something that has anything to do with a foreign language. Speaking in public is something that everybody has problems with. Every country, every nation, every culture. It doesn't matter what language you speak. Lots of people are afraid to speak in public, okay? And so I'm trying to tell you that it's just a silly question, okay, to ask about. There are 330 million Americans, and about 260 million of them, I think, are native speakers. And then I would guess probably only about 50% of those speak what I would say really well. I would say 50% maybe speak really well. But the rest of them, I would say maybe 2% speak unbelievably well, and then the rest speak pretty poorly. Language is something that reduces itself to its environment. So what that means is language goes where you go, right? So if you graduate from high school and then you go to college and then you go to a master's program and then you go to a PhD and then you become a professor, that's where your language is going to go. Right? But if you graduate from high school and then maybe you get a job working in a garage as a mechanic, or maybe you get a job working as a cook in a restaurant or something like that, that's where your language is going to go. Now, is it possible that there are people who do exist outside this reality. Yeah, of course, there are some people who just like to learn. There are some people who just do more, right? But I would, unfortunately, the Greeks believed that learning was what you should do when you're resting. That's what they believed. The Greeks were really big into leisure being learning time. But I can tell you that here where I live, leisure is not learning. Learning is considered work. So many people look at learning like something they don't want to do because it's work, and that would not be leisurely. They want to do something that's fun, relaxing, where they don't have to think, right? And I'm not blaming them for that. I'm just saying there's a cultural difference between the way the ancient Greeks looked at learning as something that you should do when you're relaxing. Read a book, learn something, study, they believed in a whole philosophy of body and mind together. But today, here, if you're not required to learn, then many people don't. Okay, I'm not trying to denigrate my own people. I'm trying to say that if there's not a reason for you to learn, many people don't learn. Okay, they don't feel a need to drive them to learn more. Okay? That's all I mean. Okay? So, regardless, if you come here and you pay attention, you can learn a lot and you'll see what you need for your English. Okay? All right. Let's see. When I end my sentence with a question mark while speaking English, people usually ask me whether I am giving a statement or asking a question. What? Are you asking something, Zainab? So, Zainab, when you end your sentence with a question mark while speaking English, you can't end your sentence with a question mark while speaking English. Question mark is a punctuation mark that's written. You can speak in a way that sounds interrogative, like a question, right? So you can ask, how are you? Or how's the weather? Or how are you doing? Right? There are things that you can ask, or what are you doing? Right? The way you ask will tell people that, right? But if you're saying something and they're not sure if it's a question or if it's a statement, then I'll tell you what you need to work on, Zainab. Your body language. Okay, because there's a big difference between this, yes, you need to do it, and this, yes, you need to do it? Right? Like, huh? Right? So one understands and one does not, right? So you need to show, when you're asking a question, hey, how are you? Right? Look like you're asking a question, okay? Okay, next question. You've read some news saying many Americans are illiterate. It's not many, but it's too many, but it's not as many as maybe you're thinking. Okay, so how many Americans do you think are illiterate, functionally illiterate? Illiterate means what? It means that you are not able of successfully reading and understanding things, or writing and understanding things, right? Susu says 30%. Let's do just in the millions. How many millions? I think it's easier to think about millions than percent. So there are about 360 million Americans, I think. So how many do you think are functionally illiterate? Joseph said 160. Fatima said 100. No, it's not quite that big, but it's still big. It's about 45 million Americans. It's about 21%. Okay, 21% of adults. Adults. These are adults, not children. Yeah, right? So 45 million. 45 million. So now think about it again. when you say, how can I speak like a native? 45 million natives are functionally illiterate. Okay? Okay, next question. What is the definition of a native speaker? A second generation, for example, Mexican that studies in the U.S. So it is kind of a weird thing. Yeah, so how do we define native speaker? Native speakers are defined as somebody who acquired their language naturally during early childhood rather than learning it intentionally as an adult, right? So learning the language from birth or early childhood, yeah. So you can be a native speaker of two languages at the same time if you're raised with two languages in your household, right? Maybe you have English and Spanish in your house all the time, so you have two languages, right, as a native. Yeah, so there you go. Fatima says, I think it's the English accent that makes people think that they speak better than non native speakers. Fatima, maybe you're right, but that's why you should not get rid of your accent. That's why you should keep your accent. Because if you keep your accent and then you say something brilliant, now people will think, oh, look, they speak really well and they're not natives, right? So you have to break the chain, right? If people think that natives always speak better, the way to prove them wrong is by letting somebody who's a non-native, but with a clear accent that shows they're a non-native, then they speak better than you do. They say words that make you think, right? So great words have no accent. Great words are just great words. Okay? Great words have no nation or culture. They're just great words. Does it matter who said to be or not to be? Does it matter? No, not really. I mean, you can be affected by those words as any human. Any human can be affected by those words, right? So it doesn't really matter that they came from Shakespeare and British culture. Okay, next question. So then real Native Americans don't speak like it's presented in the movies. May, I don't know what you mean when you say presented in the movies. What movies? I haven't seen the same movies that you have. However, May, I can tell you must be new. May, I am a teacher. That's why you understand me. I am trying to speak well, and I've been teaching for a very long time, so I know how to speak in a way that people can understand pretty well. But that's good news for you. If you can understand me, then that means you can understand English. You just need to listen to people who speak well. But that means you have to find them, okay? Now, let me ask you a question, May. May, do you know anybody who plays a musical instrument, like the piano or, some traditional Persian instrument? Do you know anybody who plays a musical instrument? Besides me. So my point, May, is when you say, do they speak like they speak when they present in the movies, right? Okay, well, let me think about it this way. When you listen to music, do you listen to anybody who plays music, or do you listen to the people who are really good? Right? You listen to the people who are good. All right? So, movies are not for learning. Movies are for entertainment. So, make up your mind what you want to do. Do you want to watch a movie, or do you want to learn? One is entertainment and one is learning. Right now, can you learn from watching movies? You can, but you have to choose the right movies, and you have to have a system. Like, you can't just watch it and think that that's education. No, you have to actually study it. You have to have materials. You have to write something about this movie, vocabulary. You have to find the words that you don't know and the things that you didn't understand how they pronounced, and you have to study it, right? But there are some movies that I would not recommend that you watch for learning English. Okay? Because I'm not trying to teach you how to be cool. I'm trying to teach you how to express yourself. Okay? Sometimes people watch the movies and they think about English like they're just wanting to be cool, like that guy. Oh, he's found so cool. I want to be like that. That's the wrong goal. This isn't about being cool. This is about learning how to speak well so that you can say the things in your head and heart. Okay? All right, let's see. How can you improve your reading and writing skills in English? Kanmani wants to know. So that's a big question. How can you improve your reading and writing skills in English? I'll give you some big answers because you gave me a big question, okay? So it's like a big, short, general answer, okay? So to improve your writing skills in English today, it's very easy, okay? I'm going to tell you this, and you have to trust me because I'm the teacher. So I'm going to tell you, all you have to do is open ChatGPT and tell ChatGPT, I suck at English writing. Help me. Enter. That's all you have to do, because I'm telling you, ChatGPT is not great for everything, but it is good for some things, and for simple things like teaching you how to improve your writing, yeah, it's great for that. It's a 24-hour-a-day coach that's ready to practice writing with you anytime you want. You just have to tell it what kind of writing you want to do. First, tell it you suck at writing and want to improve. Then it will talk to you about it, and you have to discuss it and tell it exactly what you need. AI only works if you tell it what you need. You have to be very, 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 very clear. Not just, I want to write better. No. You have to say something. I need to write better for my business. I need to write business English emails. I need to write for my school newspaper. Whatever. Tell it what you need. Okay? Be specific. Don't be lazy. Okay? So there's your writing problem. Reading, how do you improve reading? Read more. But you can read different things. So Read articles, read short stories, read poetry, read lyrics from songs, read books, right? Read fiction, read nonfiction, read fantasy, read science fiction, read whatever. Every kind of reading you can do, read. That's the number one way to work on your reading. Okay? Now, the other way to work on your reading is also to work on your vocabulary, right? To build your vocabulary. Building your vocabulary will allow you to read more, okay? But it's kind of funny because it's circular that if you read more, you will learn more vocabulary, okay? But if you learn more vocabulary, you can read more, right? So they both help each other in that way, okay? Hello, MP, over there in my YouTube. Okay, next question. Hello, Carlos. Hello, Joseph. These people should think about those people who are native speakers of their own language. Don't they speak perfect language? Or do they speak perfect language? Right. Fatima, that's what I'm saying. Think about your own country. Does everyone in your own country speak your language perfectly? They all speak like a professor? Or do you know plenty of people who speak really poorly in your country? Probably you do. Or maybe you don't know them, but you know of them. You know about them, right? They exist. Okay, let's see. David says, it so happens that many people have lost the habit of reading, which is why we see so many spelling mistakes much more than in the 80s. I completely agree. And because social media has made language feel less important. People write on social media and they say, oh, it doesn't matter. It's just social media. Who cares? Well, I'll tell you who cares. I care. I'm the English teacher, and I care because now language is garbage. Because 40-year-old men don't know the difference between Y-O-U-R and Y-O-U''R-E. Or they don't know the difference between T-H-E-R-E, T-H-E-I-R, and T-H-E-Y''R-E. I want to strangle that man. It's pathetic that we have reached a point where adults can't do those simple basic things. I don't expect every adult to be a grammarian or a master of pedantic punctuation. But I do expect them to have a basic level of English that is beyond childish. Beyond childish. Yeah. Okay, next. Let's see. Fiora says, I have a problem when I am shy and I speak and I make many mistakes. So Fiora, you're shy. So it sounds like you have two problems there. One is you are shy, and the other one is because you are shy, that makes you nervous, and then you can't speak well, right? So shyness is something that you have to put away. Fiora, I teach that shyness is just like laziness. Now, if I say, are you lazy? You'll say, no, I'm not lazy, because we know lazy is a bad thing. So people are not supposed to say, yeah, I'm lazy. I'm really lazy, right? But for some reason, shyness is one that we let people say, I'm very shy. I'm really, really shy. Even though we know that there's no real value in being shy. There's no benefit to being shy. It doesn't help you ever. So it's funny how we have rejected laziness and told people that it's not okay to be lazy, but we have told people that it's okay to be shy. I disagree. I think that for most people, 98% of people who say that they are shy, they just need to learn how to not be shy anymore. They need to put their shyness in a box and put it away because it's not helping them right now. Okay? Now, for Fiore, here's my example. My example about shyness is this. You say you are shy, but If you saw a little girl in the middle of the street and a car was coming, would you be too shy to speak up, or would you scream out something? There is an example of where you put your shyness away because you know it's not helping you right now. It can't help you right now. You have to put that away and help this child, right? So, I said 98% of people can do this. There are 2% of people who have a genuine problem with shyness that actually needs a little more special help. But that's 2%, so that's probably not you. And by you, I mean any of you. Okay, 98% means that most of you just need to get on a stage and perform something until you feel comfortable. That's how you get comfortable, is by getting on stage and doing it until you feel comfortable. That's it. It's like riding a bike. Everybody who rides a bike is uncomfortable in the beginning, but you keep riding until you feel comfortable. So that's what you need to do with speaking, okay? You will make fewer mistakes when you're more relaxed. You'll be more relaxed if you do it more, okay? All right, let's see now. The majority of native speakers, especially the ones with at least a high school diploma, speak our language better than foreigners. Huh? I'm not sure if I understand you. I think you're from Iran. If you're May, right? Yeah. So that may be true where you live in Iran, but it's not true in America, and I think it's generally not true in most other countries. Okay, please be patient. Please be patient. I'm trying to answer questions, but it's there are too many questions, okay? So please be patient. Okay, let's see. The next question is, what's the secret to learn fast languages? If you have a car, put on a podcast for learning language and drive really fast. And then you'll be learning fast languages. Julian says, accents are the beautiful sounds in the symphony of language. We need them. I completely agree. Yeah. Marco says, it seems you're more native. It seems more you're only native if you grow up studying at least partially in a country, so it's rare for second-generation foreigners. Yeah, it's rare for them to be native. But a second generation, no. I mean, no. Second generation, if my grandfather came here, right, and then my father's native. He was born here. He learned English here. I think that's what you're talking about. He's second generation. Well, actually, he'd be third generation from my family. But anyway, next question. Music helps to learn some new words. It can, sure. Yes, it can, Shaima. D.I. Roth, you want to improve your English speaking, how can you speak fluently? D.I. Roth, that's a question that no one can answer. So, 90,000 people follow me, and I teach English here about 5 days a week. If you want to learn, come. Okay? There is no magic trick. There is no magic wand or magic pill or magic spell that you can use that will make you learn fast. Learning happens because you learned. So, if you want to learn, come learn. Stop looking for a magic secret trick. Okay. Waleed says, watch House of Wax with Paris Hilton because she's hot in it. Yeah, I'll pass. Thanks, Waleed, but I'll pass. She's not my kind of hot. Joseph says, I have a question, teacher. I studied every day for learning new words, but tomorrow I don't remember. So that means that you have a bad way of learning, Joseph. So how are you learning words? What are you doing with them, Joseph? Joseph, I want you to find a way to play with these words, and I want you to find a way to get to know the words, right? So when you learn a word, I want you to know, where's the word come from? What is the word's job? Does the word have any family or friends? What does the word like to do for fun? What hobbies does it have? Okay, you can ask that about every word. All right, so if you give me a word, I can tell you what country it comes from, what culture it originally comes from. I can tell you what function or job that word has. Is it a verb? Is it a noun? Is it an adjective, an adverb? I can tell you the where you find it. What context will you find this word? Is it used here or is it used here? You know, where you usually find it in this context or in that context, right? So when I study a word just the way I do when I get to know a new person. I find out about the person. Where are you from? What do you do? What do you do for fun? You can ask the same thing about words. All right? And if you do, it's a whole lot easier to remember them. Okay? So, Joseph, if I walk down the street and you walk down the street and you see me and I see you, but you don't wave and I don't wave, you're not going to remember me. You'll forget me tomorrow. But if I walk by and you walk by and I wave and you wave, maybe you remember me for a little bit, right? If I stop to talk to you, Joseph, and I say, hi, my name is Mark. What's your name? And you tell me your name, and then I say, it was nice to meet you. You'll remember me for a week or maybe a month. If we go have lunch, Joseph, and we talk for an hour or two, you're going to remember me. So, Joseph, you have to get to know the words. All right? All right. Let's see. I'm not even going to acknowledge that. Let's see. What a jail and prison, and I think the last one you want to say is cell. What's the difference? Jail. So jail is where they hold you while you're in court, right? So while they're figuring out, did you do this or not? Right? So, for example, if you get arrested for breaking into a car and they have you, right? So now they'll take you to court in front of the judge, right? But maybe they can't take you right away. They have to wait for a day or tomorrow, right? Tomorrow you see the judge. So guess what? That means that you have to wait in jail until tomorrow to see what the judge says. Right? And then the judge might say, well, I think you did it. So we're going to go to court to prove you did it. Right? Okay. Or something. Right? And so then you're going to have to either go to jail, or they might say you can post bail money. Bail means you can pay some money that they will hold on to let you out of jail until your court date. Right? And if you come to your court date and if you win, then you can get some of that money back. But if you don't win, then you don't get the money back. And if you, I think, if you don't come back, right? If you run away, then they keep the money, right? So bail is usually a lot of money so that you don't run away. They don't want you to run away. Okay. And then the word cell, C-E-L-L, in this case means a box. And that's talking about in the jail or in the prison, they have a cell. That's each one of those rooms with the bars is called a cell. That's a jail cell, right? So prison is where they send you if you're guilty. If you're guilty, if they say, oh, you did it and you're guilty, now you go to prison. Okay, so jail is the temporary place they hold you while they're in court. Prison is where you go after you've been convicted. Okay. I'm not a shy person, but I don't like to talk a lot, Rena says. I understand, and that's possible too. Okay. Teacher, I start to speak English and I make mistakes of grammar. Do other people know what I speak? Roth, probably it's okay. Don't worry about it. Life is not a grammar test. Okay? So, it's okay if you make a mistake with grammar. They're just words. You can fix them. And if you say the wrong one, someone might tell you the right one. So say the wrong one as much as you can so you can find the right one. Okay? Yeah, you can learn English from Eminem. That's fast English. There you go. You can learn English fast with Eminem. Can we say by some strange fluke he won the lottery twice? What's the origin of the word fluke and why did we add the word strange? So, yes, you can. A fluke is something that happens rarely, a rare occasion that something happens, right? It's like a chance happening. So nobody is 100% sure where this word comes from, but let's see. There's one meaning of fluke that means a kind of fish. There's a kind of fish called a fluke. And it's actually kind of funny because the kind of fish that's a fluke is actually a very common fish that you can, if you go fishing, it's very likely you'll catch a fluke. So it's funny that the word fluke means something that rarely happens, but a fluke is also a kind of fish that's a common fish to catch. So the word fluke, it says it might be from billiards, from the playing billiards, the pool game, like a pool type game, and there was a type of shot, a lucky shot that was called a fluke, F-L-O-O-K, originally spelled F-L-O-O-K. Yeah, that appears to be it. Huh, interesting. At first, I wanted to learn English with the goal of talking to foreign girls, and then I lost interest when I realized they wanted to learn Spanish. Carlos, that's funny. Yeah, that's what I tell girls here. I tell girls, if any guy is talking to you and you're not sure if they're really trying to flirt with you or not, all you have to do is just ask them to teach you more about English, like make them actually focus on the teaching thing more, and then they'll lose interest. Like that. Now you're engaged with someone who speaks English and you want to be an English teacher. Good for you, Carlos. Well, what a story that is. Is a month and a half enough to learn and develop a language? If I told you that I learned Arabic in a month and a half, what would you say? Shaima. Uh, okay, AB, I don't know what you're talking about with the hosts and all this and stuff. Guys, you need to remember something about this, right? When you're joining Hello Talk voice rooms and live streams, 99.9% of those are just regular people. You understand that, right? They're not teachers. You understand that, right? You're expecting them to act like teachers. You're surprised when they don't help you. You're surprised when they don't teach you. You're surprised when they laugh at you. They're just jerks. They're just regular old jerks. They're just people. Jerk sometimes means a common person. So they're just regular old people who they're not interested in actually helping you. They're not here to help. They're here to talk. Jerk. Jerk. It can mean like a bad person. He's a jerk. He's a mean person. A mean person is a jerk. Okay? Yeah. But again, if you just join some random person's live stream or some random person's voice room, most of them will not be very valuable to you. I'm sorry to say that that's true, but it is true. Most people are just bored. And a lot of them are looking to, hit on girls or whatever, I think. Okay? All right. So just don't take them so seriously. Okay? You feel nervous when you speak, other people laugh at your English. So, Roth, in life, as an adult, you must make a choice. Do you care more about people laughing at you, or do you care more about your learning? If you care more about your learning, then you are an adult. If you care more about people laughing at you, then you are a child. Make a choice. Okay? Take care, Fiore. Hello, Joanne. Ankita, yes, I am a drummer. Okay, yeah. If you want to be great, then you have to be willing to be bad. Did you know that? If you want to be great, then you must be willing to be bad. What does that mean? What does that mean? If you want to be great, then you must be willing to be bad. I'll tell you what it means. I'm a drummer, and I can tell you that there is one drummer, his name is Vinnie Colaiuta, and he is known as being one of the greatest drummers in the world. Everybody will agree with that. Okay? They actually call him, his nickname is the Alien, because he's so incredibly good that it's almost like he must be from another planet, because he's just too good for a human. Okay? Now, how did he get so good? How did he become so incredible as a player that he can play anything? There are stories about him when he was in college and he was practicing, and he would practice in a room by himself, and people would walk by his room when he was practicing, and they would say, "Wow, that sounds terrible. What is that? That sounds horrible. What is he doing?" Because he was practicing things that were mathematically really, really difficult to do. They were physically and mathematically very, very difficult to do, but they were not pleasant to listen to. They didn't sound good. Okay? So he was trying to challenge his physical and mathematical ability, but it doesn't sound good. Now, did he care? Did he care that people were walking by and saying, "Oh, he sounds bad. He sounds terrible. He must be a bad drummer because he sounds bad"? No, he didn't care at all. He didn't think about them for 1 second. He knew that if he practiced this crazy stuff by himself, that he would be able to play anything that would ever come in front of him ever again. So he didn't care if you laughed at him because it sounded bad. He knew it was incredibly difficult to do. Understand? Do we understand the lesson? So you have to forget about what other people think and decide, do I want to be good or do I want to care about what other people think? Make up your mind. It's not about other people, it's about you. Okay? And there will always be people who will laugh. There will always be people who will laugh. You can't let that stop your learning. Okay? And remember again, so much of life is about people wanting to be cool. It is, really. This is an example. When you say you're afraid of being laughed at, you're telling me that you want to be cool and you're afraid to not look cool. You're afraid to look uncool. Right? You're afraid to make a mistake and then people will laugh at you and then you're not cool. So a lot of this has to do with the confidence that you have in yourself to be yourself. If you have confidence in yourself, then you won't care what other people think. If you don't have confidence in yourself, then you do care what other people think. All right? Okay, next question. All right, let's see. Does regular listening and watching in a language make the brain think in that language? Maybe. It might, Shaima, but your brain is like a child. You have to teach it. You have to train it. If you want it to do something, it won't do it unless you teach it to. That's how your brain works. Think about your brain like you have a child up here. And that child, if it wants to learn something, that's up to you to teach it. Okay? That's a good way to actually think about yourself. Okay? Okay, over here, Famelza wants to know, what do the words authenticity and sanctuary mean? So authenticity is from the word authentic. To be authentic means to be real or to be genuinely from that place or of that thing. Genuine, somehow. So, authentic. For example, authentic food, right? So sometimes somebody will say, I had Chinese food today. Well, I did have Chinese food just a couple of days ago, right? But it was American Chinese food. So it's not really authentic Chinese food. It's different, right? It's not traditional. In this case, authentic is more about being traditional, right? Authentic could be maybe you bought an expensive Gucci or Louis Vuitton LV handbag, right? But is it authentic or is it a copy, a fake, right? It could be a fake, and now it's not authentic, all right? So that's the word authentic. Now, to have authenticity means to, again, to be real in some way based on a real background, a genuine background. Okay. Sanctuary, on the other hand, is an interesting word. It means to have safety. But it's originally a word that comes from religion and from the church. The word sanctuarium in Latin means a sacred place, a holy place, a shrine. So, when you go to a holy place, that was supposed to be a place where you're not allowed to fight. Like if you run into a church a long time ago, that was supposed to be a safe place where you're not allowed to kill people inside of a church. Okay, now I'm sure that they did a lot, but that was supposed to be a place of sanctuary, a place where you could go to find safety. Okay, so the word sanctuary now is just a general term that means safety of some sort. Okay, all right, next question. Hello, Mona. You're welcome, Ahud. So, Roth, you know other people speak English to you, but you can't reply to them. You can. You can. I'm telling you, you can. Do it. Next time they speak to you, reply to them. Say something. Okay? This is replying. This also replying. And that requires no English. All right? So reply. Amir wants to know how old I am. I am an old man. I know it doesn't seem like it to you, maybe, but I am an old man. Some of you say, yeah, he's really old. Somebody called me grandpa earlier. I always find that funny. I always tell people that I am older than the flowers and younger than the mountains. I will be 51 in a few months. I'm so young. All right, well, I'll take that. And then over here we have, do I think studying and learning could be effortless and leisurely as the ancient Greeks believed? Well, so no, the word leisure did not mean to sit down and do nothing. Originally, the word leisure meant to do something productive with your free time. So the word leisure meant to do something about learning something or practicing some sort of physical thing, right? So they would work on their body or their mind in their free time. Okay, like by working on reading or studying something, because the Greeks understood the value of education, that if you have free time, guess who has free time? Free people have free time. Guess who has no free time? Slaves have no free time. And the Greeks had slaves. So the Greeks know the slaves don't get to study. The slaves never get to study. They don't get to learn. So learning is a privilege. So if you have free time and you have free time where you can learn, you're rich. Understand? Okay, so the Greeks didn't believe that you just learned lazily, sitting on the couch doing nothing. No, they were actually pretty serious about learning in a way that most people probably wouldn't be able to do today, I think. Morph. Alone is right, but inside the fluvial geomorphologist, its stress shifts. Natives need IPA for this word. I can't read it without IPA. I don't know. That's weird. Morph. Nope. I think that's overthinking. That's overthinking. A lot of linguistics and even morphology for that matter is overthinking, in my opinion. Okay. Morphology is a science where you discover how the words were created or shaped or formed and whatever, right? And so the nature of any ology is that you have to create your ology, right? Every ology that was ever made was created by someone. They began a system of doing it, right? So that means that every morphologist has to name these things. They have to come up with a name for something. But you do reach a point where you're looking for explanations where no explanation is needed. The word morph does not need to be explained in any way. It's except to say that the pH is the same as in the word elephant, right? It's a pH F sound, right? That's all you need to say to anyone about it is just say it's morph. It's an F at the end, you know? That's why I stopped looking into linguistics. I used to be interested in linguistics, and I still am. I have a lot of books about it. But I find linguistics to be a bit pedantic, that I find it eventually to be far, far too microscopically based and not macroscopically based enough. It's unbalanced. That's the problem. It's unbalanced. It's too microscopic and not macroscopic enough, and therefore it loses. I think any science or study of something that doesn't have balance loses its sense of what's the right word? Efficacy, maybe? Value, maybe? But it just means that it's hard to take it seriously anymore when they start talking about things that are like, did you need to talk about that? I'm not sure if you needed to talk about that. Right? It's like the researchers who do research that they do only because they're required to do research. So they don't have anything to study, but they find something to study because they have to study something. That happens. That does happen. Not all of them, but it does happen. Okay, next question. Is it common to use this kind of structure? For example, you did come to rescue me instead of you came to rescue me. It's common, Alejandra, only if you're confirming what someone else said or someone denied it, right? So what I mean is, if someone said, I didn't come this morning, I didn't come to rescue you, and then you could say, well, no, you did. You did come to rescue me, right? Or if they said, he didn't come to rescue you, and you said, oh, he did come to rescue me, you're denying or confirming what they said. Understand? So in that case, you could say it that way, did, but if nobody is confirming or denying it, then you just want to say, you came to rescue me. Yeah. All right? Would I explain what concierge means? Yes, a concierge is a French word. A concierge today is somebody who helps you at a hotel, usually, when you stay at a nice hotel. If you're staying at a very, very nice hotel, especially if you're one of their more expensive guests, then they have a man or a woman named with the the position of concierge. And a concierge is basically somebody who's there to help you with almost anything you could possibly need. Everything from simple things like, I need some more towels for my bathroom, or can you have food brought up to our room after lunch, or after the meeting or whatever, right? Yes, they can do those things. It's not like a butler, because a butler, well, first of all, butlers are not that common anymore. That's more of an older thing. Only for the richest people do they still have butlers. And the word butler was the name of the head servant of the house, was basically the butler. But this is not a house. This is a hotel, right? So this is like a service the hotel provides. Now, let's say you want to go out to dinner, right? And you're in town for business, and you need a good restaurant that serves Japanese food because your clients are Japanese. The concierge will be able to tell you which restaurants have the best Japanese food in town, right? If you need a special, cigar bar or something, they want a special, they want to see a special thing or a special place, they want to go to this special resort or have this special event, you talk to the concierge, and the concierge will set that up. Now, it might cost you more money. They might charge you for that, right? They might charge you for that service, but that's their point, is to basically help you with anything. And the word concierge, it originally means caretaker, the doorkeeper of a hotel or apartment house. It might come from the Latin word conservius or conservus, which meant a fellow slave, which is interesting, right? Conserve. Yeah, it means with the slaves. That's funny. Anyway. Roth, you're learning it right now. You're learning it. Okay? Roth, I cannot tell you anything now. I'll tell you everything every day you come. If you come, then you're learning English. If you don't come, you're not learning English. How's that? There's your answer. Okay? All right. All you have to do is ask the right questions. Ask the right questions. Don't ask, how can I be good? That's not the right question. Okay? Ni hao. Roth, this is for you. Roth, that is a free book online. Basic English Grammar. Here it is. Copy that link and paste it to your browser and open it, and you will find this book. And it is a book for beginners. and it is free. You're welcome. And by the way, conserve, the word conserve, I wish the word conserve meant with the slaves, but no. The word conserve actually means, it means to keep watch over something, to maintain something. What's the difference between the UK accent and the American accent? There are many, many differences because America has 30 different accents and UK has, I think, about 50 or 60 different accents. So that's a lot of differences. But if you're talking about my accent compared to a standard, what's it called? RP, received pronunciation, the King's English, if you're talking about that compared to me, there are many, many differences. But I will tell you, Andy, that's a question. There are a bunch of websites that will show you this. It's too much for me to tell you. There are too many differences. There are many differences in the pronunciation, in the spelling, in the names. Like, for example, in America, we say elevator, but in the British or in the UK, they say the lift. And in America, we say the trunk of the car, and in the UK, they say the boot of the car. In America, we say I have an apartment, and in the UK, they say I have a flat. So there are many, many differences, but there are a bunch of websites that will show you those, okay? They've made websites that show you the differences between English and American accents and spelling and pronunciation, all that, okay? Yes, it has some basic vocabulary in it too, Mercedes. Yeah. Okay. Do I think isolation negatively affects a person's personality? Of course it does. It's been proven to for a long time. There have been many, many, many studies that have been done, even for hundreds of years. There have been studies that have been done about what happens to people when you isolate them too much. You know, we all know the stories, some old guy who went out to live in a cave by himself and he hasn't seen another person in 50 years. That's not a sane person. When you see that person again, they're not normal anymore. They're practically feral. Look that word up. Okay. Susu says, when we speak, if we don't know whether a word is British English or American English, can we mix them up? Yeah, I don't think it really matters that much, Susu. I think I told you there is a significant, or I should say there are a significant number of Chinese people who have a very interesting accent in English because so many Chinese people, they started learning Chinese with British English, British books, British videos, British everything. But after school, they wanted to learn the American accent more, or they liked the American accent more, or they were exposed to the American accent more with videos and movies and TV and music. So there is actually a pretty good number of people in China who have a very interesting accent that's like half British, half American. It's really fun to listen to. I've had a couple of students who I've taught who they had a very interesting mix of half English, half British. But I thought it was fine. I don't see a problem. As long as English, as long as the UK and America are both on Earth, it's okay. Finance Advisor says Chinese usually don't speak English, they speak Chinglish. Finance Advisor, this app was made by Chinese people. This is a Chinese app. Do I like working as a teacher? I love teaching. Working as a teacher can be difficult because teaching doesn't pay very well. So there are two different things to consider. One is, do I like teaching? I love teaching. Of course, I love teaching. That has nothing to do with it. I love to help people find understanding in something. Do I love teaching as a job? It's a hard job because it very rarely pays very well. And it's usually a lot of work and a lot of stress. Does a person need to push themselves to get rid of laziness and boredom? Will a rock roll itself? Will a rock roll itself? No. If you want the rock to roll, you have to push it. That's why we call it rock and roll. It's not boring. It's not lazy. It's rock and roll, man. It's rock and roll. That's why we call it rock and roll. Your sister has a sore throat while teaching. Yeah, that can happen. That can happen. You have to have a pretty good speaking voice. You have to have good stamina. Speaking stamina. No more questions. Using chi while speaking. Yeah, you do have to use some chi when you're teaching in particular. Especially when she teaches children. Yeah, sure. Teaching children, yeah, you can lose your voice pretty easily. How to say the word sis well to ask for some gift? I don't know what you mean. The word sis is just sis. So I'm not sure what... Oh, is that what it is? Insist? To insist is not really about a gift. It means you strongly want them to do something. That's to insist. That's very different, Francisco. That's a completely different sis. And that's usually CIS, not SIS, Francisco. A says, I'm a teacher, but my voice is always low. Well, if that's your teaching style, if that works for you, then great. In general, I find that a teacher... teaching is usually easier if you're more animated. That's my experience. But not always. There are some times when... I used to take a class, for example, when I was in college, I took one class. It was a customized class that I was the only student. I wanted to study Florentine history, the history of Florence, Italy. And we had a professor in my school who his entire field was Florentine history. And I took one class with him that was a course it was a general course on Italian history. But I wanted to study with him privately, and it was great. We had this one-on-one class twice a week where I would sit with him for 2 hours each class and just listen to him talk about Florence, and I would ask him questions about the reading. He would give me all these books to read, and we would just talk about things, right? But it was not exciting. He was not a very animated teacher. He was extremely knowledgeable and so well-spoken and so clear, but he's very, very reserved. But that was good. I liked that style. So I don't want to paint everybody with the same brush, meaning I don't want to say that every teacher should be the same. Teaching is a style. Everybody has to have a style. That's their style. I just think that in general, I think most teaching should be done with a little bit more energy and not less energy. For one simple reason. If you are not excited about what you're doing, then how can you expect your students to be excited about what you're doing? So that's why I think it's really important that the teacher has to at least project some sense of passion, some sense of energy, some sense of desire. You know? Okay, next question. Why are some people always full of energy? Coffee. Let's see. Execution and capitalization, what's the difference between them? So Waleed, if you're talking about killing people, then to execute can mean to kill someone, but the word execute has a modern meaning that just means to do something, right? So for example, on a computer, PC computers have exe files. Exe files are called execution files because they do something, right? So, and to execute my command means to follow my command, to do what I said. But the reason why was because executions were ordered by the king. The king said to execute this person, they kill this person that they did. Okay, now, capitalization, the word you're talking about, that means to make letters bigger or smaller, right? Is it a big letter or a small letter, like the big letter C or small letter C? But I think you're talking about capital punishment, which means to kill somebody as a punishment. There is no difference in that sense. How does a person become mature, in my view? By working on themselves. You are a character in a video game right now, the video game of life. You're playing this game. And in a game, you have to develop your character to make your character smarter, more agile, more understanding, to give it greater wisdom, to earn more money so you can buy things and do more things, and to protect yourself more, right? Welcome to the game of life. Here we are. So every single person that's walking around today is like this. This is every person. They're walking around like this. Some people, they take the time to look at it and say, well, if I pull this one out like this, let's see, Can I get that out of there? How do I get that out of there? Oh, wait a minute. Oh, look. Oh, they're coming free. They're coming loose. Oh, look. Oh, there's one. There's another. There's another. Oh, they're all separated, and now I can see them clearly and understand what's going on. That is your duty as a human, is to figure out your problems. And your problems are things that have developed through your background, right? Some of us have more problems than others, but we all have problems, right? But you have to figure out what your problem is, accept it, and begin to work on it. Okay? But not everybody does. I would say many people don't even recognize that they have problems. Okay? Why are you in prison break mode today? I don't know, man. I don't know, Waleed. Faye says, I want to learn English for academic English, like for delivering speeches in conferences. Can I teach you that? So it depends on what kind of conference you're delivering a speech for, but there are many ways to deliver a speech. Speeches are a performance. Now, when you give a performance, there are different kinds of performances. Like sometimes you have to read the words exactly the way that they were written, right? Like Shakespeare. If you do Shakespeare, you have to do the words exactly the way they were. You don't change the words at all, right? So you have to memorize every word. That's one kind of speech. But then there are other kinds of speeches where you don't want to memorize every word. You just want to maybe you want to speak completely freely. You just go up like I am now. I don't have any notes. I'm improvising. I'm making it up as I go. Okay? And then there's right in between those two things, right? So there's memorizing every word, and there's completely improvising, and then right in the middle is half and half, where you write down the main ideas that you want to say, and you hold those on a card in front of you. So then you look at the idea and you say, okay, here's the first idea I need to talk about. And then you freely talk about that idea. Then you look at your card to see the next idea that you want to freely talk about. All right? But language is a performance. And if you want to be a good performer, then you must perform more. So the more that you can give speeches, the better that you will be. Every person who's great at giving speeches, what do you think they've done a lot? What's the one thing that the person who's really good at speaking in front of people, what's the one thing they've done that you haven't done as much of? They've talked in front of people more than you. They've just done it more than you. So start doing it. Okay? Okay, next question. What's the most realistic place to start when learning English? Yun, I would say you can also start with this book. That's a great place to start. Is it easier to learn languages alone, at home, or at school? That depends on the person. For some people, maybe they like to learn by themselves alone. Some people, maybe they really enjoy having the group learning experience. And some people like a little bit of both. Okay? You can't say one is better than the other. It's different for every person. Okay? How can you enhance your reading section? You have to read more. You have to improve your vocabulary more. Reading, there is only one really good way to improve your reading. You have to read. I mean, there is no secret. Build your vocabulary and read more. Okay? Cut someone loose. What's the meaning of cut someone loose? That means to get rid of them so that they're not part of your group, right? So maybe you have. Let me think of a good situation. Well, this phrase, I think it comes from mountain climbing. When you climb mountains, sometimes if it's a very dangerous mountain, they would tie rope around you and around the next person and around the next person. So everybody has a rope tied around them. So if someone falls, you can pull them up, right? But if someone falls and now maybe they're going to make everybody fall, now you have to cut them loose, right? So that's the original meaning, but the modern meaning means to get rid of it because it's not helping you anymore or it's hurting you in some way. To get rid of it because it's not helping you anymore or hurting you in some way. Adrenaline, what's the origin? Is it Greek? I think it might be Greek or Latin. Let me check adrenaline. Adrenaline. It comes from the modern Latin word adrenal, and then the INE additive for a chemical. So the word adrenal is just about the kidneys. So if you've heard of renal failure, that means kidney failure. So the adrenaline runs through your kidneys, I guess. That's the adrenal gland. Ah, yeah, there we go. Yeah. Of the kidneys. Okay, next question. What's the original language of the U.S. before European migration? There were many, many, many original languages here. Waleed, here, I'll show you. Let's get rid of this. Here are the languages that used to be in the United States before English. So, and again, these are all the way from Central America, South America, and North America, right? So Nahuatl is the language of Mexico, right? But here, look, you can see where these languages come from, right? So up here, if you want to go up to, there's, wait a minute. Here we go. Here's Ojibwe in the United States. And South Dakota, there's the U.S., the Sioux. And here's O'odham and Yupik. So there were many, many, many. These are all native languages before English came to the Americas. See how many? That's a long list. All right, let's see. How can you make sentences longer when you talk? Joanna, every big sentence is just a bunch of small sentences. So, I like apples. I sometimes eat bananas. And on Fridays, I go to the store to buy more. That's just 3 small sentences put together. Okay, so almost every big sentence can be broken into smaller sentences. Okay? Have I ever seen Hamlet? This above all, to thine own self be true. Sure I have. That's actually my favorite. It's one of my favorite quotes in life. This above all, to thine own self be true. Why does the USA have a prime minister, and what happened to the Confederate? Why USA? We don't have a prime minister. Because we broke away from the British. And I can't explain the Confederacy to you. It was a bunch of stupid, racist bigots who wanted to keep their money. There's my explanation of the Confederacy. Let's see. Kira says, what about understanding a fast English speaker and different accents? So different accents can be tough because it depends on the accent, right? Some accents are much harder to listen to than others. But Kira, if you are actually talking to someone, like for example, if you're talking to me, if I'm speaking too fast, then what you should do is you should say, hey, Mark, please slow down. You're speaking too fast for me. Please, can you speak a little bit more slowly? That's all you have to do. It's not hard, okay? Anytime you can do that, you should, okay? So Kira, I speak Chinese really poorly, but that happens to me in Chinese a lot. I have to tell people in Chinese to slow down and speak more simply because I'm kind of stupid. All right, so just ask. All right? But understanding fast English can be hard if they don't pronounce it well. But today you can go, there are many features on YouTube, for example, where you can slow it down from 1.0 to 0.75 or to 0.50, right? So it's half speed or 75% speed or full speed. Or then you can speed it up, right? So that's how musicians practice fast music. Sometimes we'll take the music and we'll listen to it and we'll use an app to slow it down so that it's slow enough for you to play. Like if you play the saxophone or the drums or whatever, you can slow it down to find the speed where you can do it. And then practice it there and then speed it up a little bit each time. So that's what you can do with language too. All right? You are welcome, Lolo. Why is the Adam's apple called an apple from the Bible before the Bible? How to say it? So the Adam's apple, why is the Adam's apple called the Adam's apple? I'm not exactly sure. It corresponds to the Latin word pomum Adami, which means apple of Adam. And that is an inexact translation of the Hebrew tapua hadam, which means the man's swelling. Ah, that's interesting. Anything swollen. Ah, that's kind of funny I said that. Anyway, so this looks like a possible mistranslation that happened over time. That in the original Hebrew, the word was just about a swollen area, something bigger that you could see that was swollen, right? But they mistranslated it from a man's swelling to Adam's swelling. There you go. Okay. Many people ask how to master English quickly. I wonder if what they really want to know is how to use English as an international lingua franca for easy communication. After all, they may not talk with native speakers, so complicated vocabulary is unnecessary. Yeah, that's true. That's often true. And I understand that. When people say they want to learn quickly, how can I learn quickly? I understand what they mean is they want to reach a place where they feel like they can express themselves well with not too much time and not too much effort. But that's like asking, if I play piano now, when will I sound good? I don't know. Right? If you start playing piano now, when will you sound good? I don't know when you're going to start sounding good. You'll start sounding good when you start sounding good. Okay, so I know what people want. They want an idea of how long it takes. And the reason why is because people think that language is something that you start and stop. No, language is something that you start, but you never stop. Okay, language is not something like a computer skill, like learning, C+ or something. No. Learning a language is something that you never, ever, ever stop learning. You're never finished. Is anybody finished with English in this world? Is there anybody on this planet who is finished with English? Finished. They know everything. Yeah, that's exactly right. There is not one person on this planet who knows absolutely everything about English. They're not finished. There's no finish. So it's a funny thing when you start thinking about it like you can finish it. Right? So that's why I tell people, if the race has no ending, then how can you get to the end faster? You're asking me, how can I learn fast? How can I learn fast? But this race has no end. So how can you get to the end faster if there is no end? Right? So when you learn a language, you should think about this more like it's a skill, it's like a human ability. Okay? And a human ability is not something that you stop. You keep doing it. And you keep getting better. It's an ability. It's a skill. Do you understand? You can't finish a skill. You just keep getting better. Okay, so Yo-Yo Ma is the most famous cellist in the world. Okay, he plays the cello. Okay? And every day he wakes up and he's still trying to be better. How is that possible? How is it possible that he is the greatest cellist on the planet? And everyone says it. Mostly. But he's still trying to be better. How's that work? How's that work? Right? How many words do you need to know as a learner? Well, you need to know all the words that you need to know for your life. That's different for everybody, right? So there are some people, Solomon, who maybe they only need a small number of words in their life, right? So their vocabulary is limited. Maybe they only know 6,000, 8,000, 10,000 words, maybe. Maybe you have a bigger vocabulary because you read more and do more and study more and your work has more language involved in it. So maybe you have 10,000, 20,000 words. Maybe you're an English professor and you have a much greater vocabulary than the average person. Right? So, again, you need to know the words that you need for your usage of language. But that's different for everyone. Okay? The music that I make is not the same music that you will make. Okay? Tell me you're a musician without telling me. Indeed, I am. Yeah, Jade. Well, thank you, Jade. I appreciate that. I have been on this app longer than most people. I have been here for about 13 years. And I have been live streaming here for about 5 years. Okay, I think I missed some people over here in my YouTube channel. How long are the live streams usually? Usually I'm trying to make them about 2 hours now. 2 hours or less. Okay, but there are some streams that I have done in the past that were more like 3 hours or even 4 hours long. Occasionally. And hello, Isa, over there on my YouTube. You've been here for 9 years. Okay, good for you. Nice to meet you. Yeah. Not too many people have been on the app that long. But I appreciate it. It's always funny to see a US flag pop up in the chat, because I'm always kind of like, why are you listening to me? I have nothing interesting to say. Do I teach IELTS? I have taught IELTS before. I don't usually teach IELTS anymore because it's pretty specific. It's one thing if you're an English teacher, but to be an IELTS or a TOEFL teacher is very specific. I think you need a very specific skill set. And I started doing that for a little bit, and I've helped people, but I don't call myself an IELTS teacher. And I think that it's better if you find somebody who is. Okay? Seeing how other people can pose certain topics can teach a lot. Sure. And Jade, I have been a teacher since 1994. I started teaching drums in 1994, and I started teaching English in 2009. Do I know someone? I don't right now, no. I used to know a guy who was a friend of mine who I would send him students occasionally, but he is not doing that anymore. So I don't know anyone personally anymore, Sarah. Unfortunately, now I don't. What's the difference between talk to and talk with? Andy, so this is one where I will say, 有时候就是一样的意思，有时候就是差不多的意思. Okay? So, sometimes talk to sounds more like I'm telling you what to do. Talk with sounds more like we're having a conversation. Okay, so sometimes these things are interchangeable and they mean the same thing, right? That's what I said in Chinese to everybody here, is I was saying that if I say I need to talk to you or I need to talk with you, that really means pretty much the same thing, okay? The only difference is a little bit the feeling of to sounds more like I'm in charge or I need help. I need to talk to you means like I need help maybe, okay? Or I need to talk to you means I'm in charge and I need to tell you something important, right? But with you is more friendly sounding, right? So I need to talk with you, or can I talk with you? That sounds more like a conversation and not like any authority. Okay? Harsha says, I know a lot of words in English, like rather than 10,000, actually, I cannot speak continuously. So, Harsha, the reason why you cannot speak continuously is because you cannot think continuously in English. So, Harsha, there are 8 parts of language. Okay? Any language. If you want to learn languages, you need to know what these 8 parts are. Okay, now there are 3 parts of language that are passive. They are things that you must study, that you use, like the blocks of language. Okay, those 3 parts are grammar, vocabulary, and pronunciation. So you have to study grammar, and you have to study pronunciation, and you have to study vocabulary so that you know those things to use them in the 5 parts of active language. And they are reading, writing, listening, speaking, and thinking. And this one, thinking, is the one that they never talk about because they don't usually know how to talk about it or to teach about it. But thinking is the secret to any language. And again, this comes from me as my background as a musician, right? I'm a drummer. And if I want to practice the drums, I do. I practice whenever I can. But what if it's late at night? If it's late at night and I want to play the drums, my neighbors will not like that very much. But I still need to practice my drumming. So how can I practice drumming without playing? By thinking. Every professional musician is able to think about music. They can think about their instrument. They can think about what they want to play. And they work on that when they're thinking. And then when they go play, it's so much easier. It's so much easier because you're ready now because you've been working on it. You've been thinking about it. Okay? So that's the secret, is you have to train yourself to learn how to think in the language so that you're not translating everything. If you translate everything, it's too slow. Now, sometimes there might be something that is so hard that you have to translate. Okay, fine. But most things, you need to learn how to think them without going from English to this. You just think directly in this language. Don't translate. Okay? That's the really important part here. So when you say that you know a bunch of words but you can't say them, it's because you learn these words, but you're learning like it's something that you can put away. So you practice English and then you put it away in the closet. And once it's in the closet, you're not thinking about English anymore. You're not practicing English anymore. You're not using English anymore. So then I come up to you and I say hi, and you panic and you say, "Oh, where's my English? Oh, let me go get my English in the closet and dust it off. And whew, okay, I can use my English now," right? But now you're nervous because you're not ready, right? So that's the most important part, is learn how to think in this language. When you learn hello, now that you know hello, when you walk down the street, everyone that you see, you should be thinking, hello, hello, hello. Okay? When you learn I'm hungry, every time that you are hungry, you should be thinking, I'm hungry. Understand? Okay? Train yourself to think in English, and then you will be ready to speak English. All right? All right. That's awesome that you've been teaching so long. I get mistaken on this app for AI all the time because you have a very clear spoken voice. Yeah, me too. But I always tell them, if I were AI, I'd be a lot more handsome. When do we use need to? Need to is a stronger version of want, right? So it's something that there's a must, right? You have to do it for some reason. It's important, right? So need to is for important things, right? I need to go to the store to buy milk. We don't have any. I need to get some. Okay? Now, I want to buy a new toy. That's not a need, that's a toy. You don't need it, you want it. Okay, so need is things that are important. Okay? The word important is a funny word because most people don't know where it comes from. Do you know where the word important comes from? This one is so funny because it's so obvious when you see it, then you go, oh, that makes sense. Important comes from the word import. What is an import? What are imports? What are imports? Anyone? I am, in this case, the letters I am mean in, into. And port means carry. So, imports are the things that you carry in to your country. Why? Why do you carry those things in to your country? America buys bananas. We import bananas. Why do we import bananas in America? Because it's a need it, but you don't have it. That's right. We don't grow bananas anywhere. We don't have any banana farms anywhere in America. Bananas don't grow here. So that's something we need. So we have to buy it because we need it, because it's important. So that's where the word import comes from. Important. They're important things, right? Those are the things you need to buy. They're important. Those are imports. Okay? It's like a very basic, obvious one that's right in front of you, but nobody knows. If there's an important, why isn't there an exportant? Well, that's a good question. So export means the things, ex means out of, and port means carry. So again, this means the things that you carry out of your country to sell them to other people because you have too many, right? You have a lot, so you can sell them, right? Now, why did the word exportant not develop? That's a good question. It may have. There are times when sometimes a word, maybe it did develop, but then it just died, like just wasn't popular. But let me look. Interesting. So the original word important comes from the Latin word importare, which means to bring weight or consequence to something. Means to make it serious. It's important, right? And that comes from the word portare, meaning to carry. So it was something that carried weight, or it's something that mattered, right? So it's actually interesting. The word import comes from important, not the other way around. But the word import-export, these use directional prefixes, im and ex, combined with the word portare. So Interesting. Okay. So the word important actually means to carry weight within a situation, right? So this is an important matter. It carries weight. It's important. It's serious, right? But if you said the word exportant, then the meaning of that would be to have weight outside of a situation. So that doesn't make any sense. That's why they didn't make the word, because there's no logical reason to create that word. That's how words are often made. There's a reason to create it, and then the word gets created, right? So that's how this word works. And it shows you that there are so many words in English that come from Latin that they're related, but they're related in different ways. Like in this case, the word import and export and important, they're related by the word port, meaning to carry. But they come from a different history. One means something that is serious or carries importance, carries weight, right? It's heavy. It's something serious, right? So that's why they started using it for import and export, probably, because if you only buy a little bit, it doesn't really matter. It's not serious. But if you buy a lot, then it's serious. Right? Yeah, again, English etymology is kind of a fun thing to study. If you look at it, sometimes there are meanings of the words that are right there in front of you, but you just don't understand them. Understand is a perfect example. Do you know what the word understand means? Why do they have the word under in the word understand? What is under about understand? What are you under when you understand something? Anyone know? No, it's not sarcasm. No. So the word under, today the word under has only one main meaning. It means below something, right? So my hand is under my other hand, right? But a long time ago, the word under had another meaning. It meant in the middle of something, right? So when you understand something, it means you're standing in the middle of it so you can see it clearly. Right. Many people don't think about it, they don't know. But that's what it means. To understand means to stand in the middle so you see it clearly. And right, Kira, there's a psychological reason too. Yeah, like people think about themselves, not. That's exactly right. That's right. That's right. It comes from the old Germanic root. The old root means among or between or in the midst of, in the middle of. Right. So to understand means to be in the middle of something so that you see it clearly. Okay? And there are a couple other words in English that have that same meaning of under, meaning middle. Like to undertake. When you undertake a new business, that's the same one. You're in the middle of a new business. Do you understand? No. The word underwater, that is the meaning of under, meaning below. So it does have the other meaning of below sometimes. Okay? There are only a couple of situations where the word under in modern English means in the middle of. Understand, undertake. Wait a minute, I'm looking. Most of them mean below or less than. There are lots of under words in English. Underachiever, underdeveloped, underemployed, underemployment, under the table, underage, underarm, underbelly, underbid, underbred, underbrush, undercarriage, undercharge, underclass, underclassman, undercoach, undercount, undercover, undercroft, undercurrent, undercut, underdog, underdone, underdressed. There are lots and lots and lots of underwords. Yeah. Oh, there's one. Underwrite. To underwrite a business is a word. It's a business term that in this case it means to be in the middle of carrying your business with that person, or it's to subscribe. Yeah, anyway. I look like the guy from The Hobbit. I believe you mean Sean Astin. I think I'm a little better looking than him. But he's richer than I, so... Okay, guys, it has been 2 hours and 30 minutes. So it has been 30 minutes more than my normal time. I think it's time for me to go. All right? But it was fun. It was a good session today. Maddie says, please help me when I send my sentences to AI. It always says for each one of my sentences that they are unnatural. Well, what you just said looked pretty natural to me. I mean, I see a couple little mistakes, but nothing really big. So what AI are you using, Maddie? And yes, Waleed, I'll play some drums either today or tomorrow. I'll play some drums. You're using ChatGPT. How many times have you tried, Maddie? 10 times? 20 times? It's been 2 weeks. Okay, well, I think it needs more time. It needs more time, man. Maddie, I've been teaching probably longer than you've been alive. And I can tell you this. My students always come to me and they say, I can't do it, Teacher Mark. I can't do it. I tried, but I can't do it. And then I ask them, how many times did you try? And they say, I tried 10 times, Mark. I tried 20 times, Teacher Mark. I tried 100 times, Teacher Mark. And they think that it's a lot. They think that their number is a lot. And then I tell them, if you didn't try 1,000 times, then you didn't try. So get back to it. All right? Because here's what I can tell you. If you do it 1,000 times, you can do it. So somewhere between 0 and 1,000, you will find success. So keep doing it. All right? That's how this works. All right. Yes, let me give you guys the PDF file. Thank you for that. Let me find my file. Where is my file? There it is. This is my PDF file. It has everything you need to know about me. If you want to know who I am and what I'm doing and what's my schedule, if you want to know my YouTube channel and my website and my blog, then go to this PDF file, okay? Copy the link and paste it to your browser and open it and read it, okay? Copy it to your browser and open it and read it. If you just click on it, it won't work. Okay, but if you copy it and paste it, it will work. Okay? All right. So that's it for me today, guys. Here's one more question over here in my YouTube. Let's see. Is colloquial English different from literary English? Yes, colloquial English is very different from literary English. Yeah. Colloquial means common, the normal, everyday English, right? Why are we saying you're welcome when someone says thank you? Well, first of all, Isa, you spelled your Y-O-U-R, but it should be Y-O-U''R-E because it's you are welcome. You are welcome. So somebody says thank you, and you're saying you are welcome for my help. I'm happy to help you. You're welcome to my help. Okay? And what's the difference between being in the middle of something and being in the midst of something? Nothing. The word midst is not very common anymore. It's a bit old, so we almost always say middle now. Okay? But midst is more poetic sounding. It's more literary sounding. All right, that's it for me. Have a good morning, have a good afternoon, have a good evening, wherever you are on this big blue ball, and I'll see you guys next time. Okay? Bye.